So this is going to be your Leviathan gear setup, or the one that I used anyways. The only difference is I had a Venator ring instead of an Archer's ring, but I've since sold it, and I didn't want to buy it back just to show you guys. But yeah, so I had a Venator ring when I did it. I did try most of my attempts with Void, as you probably saw in the video, but I don't know if it's a coincidence or what, but the literal first time that I switched to just using Missouri for that last phase, I got the kill, and like before I was using Void, any time that I would get hit off prey, it was always like a 40 or like a 45, and when I switched to Missouri, I got hit like 13s, I think 2 or 3 times when I got hit off prayer. So I would recommend just using Missouri. Screw the Void. I don't think it's worth it. And this is your pre-pot, so this is all you do. It's pretty standard pre-pot. And then I just took one brew just in case you have to triple eat at some point. Like if you're in a panic. But since you only have one divine, try not to use this brew, because then you'll just have to damage yourself again anyways. The food isn't very important, because if you are really good at the setup, then you'll have way more than enough food here. And during the enrage part, you are not going to be eating at all, because you just don't have time to do it. Other than that, you just want runes for Shadow Barrage, and make sure that you don't hit Blood Barrage when you're trying to stun Leviathan, because that will be very bad for you. So in terms of practice for the Leviathan, there is really not a whole lot that you can do for practice. I really didn't do much practicing in the normal one. What's the command? Leviathan. Yeah, I only have 75 normal kill count. The only thing that you really need to make sure before you start trying the Awakened is that you can do the one tick boulder walk when there is no tornado, and that you can do the lightning run with or without the tornado. You can practice the run in the normal one, doing the lightning walk. That's really the only practice that you need to do. Unfortunately, the enraged phase in the normal one is a lot easier than the awakened one, so it's really not going to be like any comparison there. So you're really only going to get solid practice by just doing the awakened version for this one, in my opinion. Okay, so for our tips, I'll just briefly explain the order that I do my rocks in, and I'll just briefly explain the tiles, and then I'll try to show you actual example clips of me using them. So at the start, most of this is just the same as Kirby's tiles that he has in his video, and I'll definitely link that video below. I'll also try to link these tiles in this video. I'm not entirely sure how to do that, but I'll try to figure it out for you guys. So they are pretty much the same as Kirby's tiles. The only difference is I made a little gap here. And the reason why I did that is so that if your tornado phase takes a really long time and you end up getting 3 rocks instead of just 2 rocks, then you have a little safety net that you can use over here as well. And I'll try to find an example of me using that in one of my kills. But before I do that, I'll just briefly explain the order that I like to do my rocks in. So your first rock is going to be on these red tiles here. You're going to do it on these red tiles. And then your second rock is going to be on these red tiles. So red is red because it's important that you do them properly. You set up your red tiles very nicely so that you have easy tornado tiles later on. The green tiles over here, you want to do these green tiles first. Like after you do your red ones. So this corner first, second, this one third, and then this one is fourth if you haven't done tornadoes by this point. Sometimes you will have a very slow kill and you'll get a 4th rock before you get tornadoes. So that's what this one is for. But if you have done 3 rocks and you're under 50%, then what I would like to do is I would do this one. You're not going to get them exactly on these blue tiles because that would be a 1 tick or a 2 rock per tile run. You're not going to do that when the tornado's out, so you're going to go a little bit beyond here. It's fine. It doesn't matter. So you can start from either this blue one or this blue one. It doesn't really matter. But if you do start from this blue one, then make sure that you leave this gap, because this gap is very important if you start on this side. If you start on this side, then it's all good. All you do is you just go to the middle and then you go back a little bit, but I'll show you examples of me doing both. And then you should be able to do the 50% to 20 like under 23%, you should be able to do that in 2 rocks. If you don't though, that's why you leave this gap, and I'll try to find an example of me using that. This corner is black because you don't want to use this, but if you have to, like if you're all out of space, you don't know where to go, instead of just wasting an orb, you can just put the rocks there, and then the enrage will probably start on this tile, so you can't use these barrage tiles anymore. So it's going to be a bad kill if you end up having to use the black tiles, so try not to use the black tiles, but they're there if you have to use them. So I gave you a brief explanation of how I like to use these tiles, but now I'll try to find example clips of me actually like using this tile, or me like leaving a gap here if I start here, or me starting here. I'll try to find examples of that for you guys. So this right here is an example of me setting this blue one up. You just walk, and then you run back, and then you shouldn't get hit by the tornado. So that's me doing that one. Okay, and this is the same kill. So you'll see I just start from where I left off. Hit whatever hit you wanted. Doesn't matter where you go here because you left that space open. You have enough time to leave, and that is both of the blue tiles used. So now, let's say that it wasn't already 23% health and it still had a lot to go, and then I need to use these tiles over here. I'll show you an example of that. So in this example, I used the green ones. I didn't use the hole in the green ones. I'll still have to find you an example for that. But you can use these ones just like this. There's a little bit close call there, but it did work, so you can see that you can do that. So here's an example of it still not being at 50% after you used 3 rock spots. So you use this one. And so then after you go through here, you'll see that there's no gap there anymore. So then if you still got unlucky and in your sub 50%, you use both of your blue tiles, then it's almost like you don't really have anywhere to go for the tornado, for the rocks. So what you do is you just go in behind here, and you'd probably just go against the back wall. Try to stay away from this top corner because you want to keep as many boulders out of that area as possible. And then you would just walk along this back wall, delay here for a second, and then run out. And that's why I have that gap there, but I'm not really able to find an example of that because it's a very niche situation that does not happen very often. But that's why I leave the gap, is just because if you use both of the blue ones and you still have to do rocks in your tornado phase, like you get 3 rocks in your tornado phase and you've already used this, then you kind of have to improvise, and that's what that gap is for. Okay, my final tip of how you kill the Leviathan is that you have to have a really good setup. Like, it's all about your setup for that very last enrage phase. So how you're going to want to set it up is using jedi's tiles that I have marked in orange on my tiles. So you're going to want to start on the north side of Leviathan so that your tornado starts behind you when you get to the shadow barrage tile. And then as soon as you get to that shadow barrage tile, you shadow barrage. And then this is the proc tile, so you're going to hit it from the proc tile. And then you're going to swap to your web weaver. And I wait like a tick here. I don't know if you have to. You'll have to go watch the Red Eye Jedi video to get an exact explanation of it. But I just wait a tick just so that I make sure that that spec is with the orb's power behind it. So all you do is you just dance around when it's sub 23%. You dance with the lightning until it stops. You run to the shadow barrage tile. Proc it. Here I miss a flick. Don't miss a flick because now I'm 111 health instead of 121. But anyways, I wait a tick, boom, boom. And then here, the only trick is you just ignore the tornado, and you have to try to hit every single flick, and you cannot walk in melee distance. You cannot walk in melee distance because that's death. And you try to hit every single flick. Obviously you saw I didn't. And then eventually you'll just get a lucky part where you just get a lot of the same attacks in a row. And like I said, as soon as I swapped to Missouri, some of those hits were hitting me for like 13s instead of 40s, and that helped out so much. I think I got hit by the tornado once here, so you really you totally ignore it. The tornado, you don't care about it. As long as you hit enough flicks, you should be able to survive 2 tornado hits, and you'll be alright. Okay, so the only thing left to go over is the settings now. So for the settings, you're going to want better NPC highlights. So you go to your plugin hub, better NPC highlights. Make sure that you get that one, Bucus. Okay, and then you search up better NPC highlights, make sure that's on, go into it, and then under True Tile, 12-22, that's going to be your tornado in the Leviathan. That's the ID that you want, so make sure that's checked and put 12-22 in your True Tile IDs. Other than that, you're going to want to get radius markers in the plugin hub. So radius markers by Scritzo, get that one. And then in your radius marker settings, make sure that it's on. And then in here, you're going to want it to, under marker features, include attack range, include hunt range, include interaction range. And then once you have those on, these are the other settings that I have if you wanted to look at them. I don't believe that I changed anything else, but if I did, then you could see it there. But then anyways, you go over to your sidebar and should be like under your loot tracker. Now you have this radius marker thing. So you click on that. And then I have a bunch. The only one that you need to worry about for the Leviathan is this one. So what you'll do is you'll just go to the top. You'll click add a new radius marker. And then your NPC ID, this is the important part, put 12-214, 12-214. And then you're going to want to hide melee and hunt range. Include your interaction range. Turn that on. And then that'll be the big red box around, so that'll be where you can get melee'd at the end. And you want to make sure that your interaction range is on 2. And then I think there's one for the orb, so I'll go find that one. And then I will be... Oh, here it is. Okay. I was going to say I'll be right back, but... So I called this one Leviathan Orb, so this one's ID is 12-220. So you want to put in your NPC ID 12-220. You're going to want to hide the melee. You're going to want your hunt range to be at 3 and turn that on. And then your interaction range, you can hide that. So hunt range 3, 12-220 for the orb, the Leviathan Orb that spawns at the end. And then for the actual Leviathan, for its melee range at the end, you're going to want interaction range on 2 and make sure that the eye is good. And then you can hide the other 2. And that is all the settings that I used for the Leviathan.